What's going on, guys? Welcome back to RetroSupply, your friendly neighborhood hookup for retro art obsession. Today, I'm going to drop the blueprint on how to cook up a perfectly seamless pattern in Procreate. I'm talking next level stuff. This is a seamless repeating pattern, which sounds super complicated, but honestly it's just drawing things and shoving them around until they line up. Don't worry guys, we're going to go step by step. If you can draw a circle and slide it left and right, you're certified. So buckle up, grab your stylus, and let's get into it. Alright, let's set up our battlefield. Make a new square canvas, 3000 by 3000 pixels at 300 dpi. Could you use a rectangle? Yeah, technically. But rectangular patterns are like cargo pants. They're full of complications and weird pockets. A square keeps things simple and predictable. I'm also going to drop in a paper texture from RetroSupply's Funny Papers pack, mostly so I don't get flashbanged by a bright white canvas the second I start sketching. It's just for my own comfort at this stage, because sketching without a paper texture feels wrong. Don't get too attached though, we'll be messing with the canvas later, so this layer's just temporary. I'm locked into that Wild West vibe today. Cows, boots, hats, all those classic icons that look like they belong on your dad's old pajamas from 1968. You could pick whatever you want to draw without getting that empty feeling inside. Flowers, snacks, frogs. It's your call. I don't judge. Next we're going to play around with some color palettes. Now normally I pick my colors after the drawing's done, but for patterns, color is almost the whole meal. If the colors are beefing with each other, the whole pattern falls apart. So this is one of the only times I actually behave responsibly and choose my palette before I draw anything. Keep it tight. 4 to 6 colors is usually the sweet spot. Enough variety to keep it interesting, but not so many that your elements are fighting for attention. And don't sleep on your background color. If you pick all your main colors first and then throw a random color under it, your palette can start spiraling out of control. So plan ahead and make sure your main elements and your backdrop actually complement each other. This is the fun part. Time to actually start sketching your main elements. Start big and messy. Today I'm sketching with the Technical Pencil 1 from the Space Ranger pack. Start by blocking in those loose shapes. No details yet, just placement and size. And don't worry about filling up the whole canvas yet. And definitely don't draw anything that touches or crosses the edges. For now, just focus on blocking in your key elements, the stars of the show. We'll bring in the supporting cast later. Once the placement feels right, roughen the details. Still keep it loose right now and try not to zoom in so much. If you zoom, you'll lose perspective of the bigger picture. Once you're happy with your drawings, it's time to ink. I'm using a RetroSupply Classic, the ramen brush from the standard pens pack. It's perfect for that bouncy, vintage, cartoon line weight. I'm also adding some accents with the dash pen from the mid-century pack for some retro flair. For coloring, I'm using the 80% rough dot brush from Duplatone to give everything that old printed look. Once you're done with an element, duplicate the layer stack and merge it together. That way you can scale, rotate, and reuse them later without wrecking the originals. After you've cleaned everything up and added your color, you should be looking at a dope little crowd of Western icons. It's not the finished pattern yet, just the elements ready to be tiled into one. This is where the magic happens. Before you do anything, make sure you have snapping and magnetics turned on. Just select your layer, hit the move tool, and flip them on from the bottom menu. This ensures everything perfectly snaps together so you don't have to go pixel peeping later. I'll also turn off my paper texture and my background for now, and lock those layers. Take your main elements and merge them together. Don't worry, you still have all your original drawings on separate layers if you want to go back and tweak anything later. Next, create a new layer and fill it with solid black. Change the blending mode to multiply and lower the opacity to around 50%. Why? Because our elements aren't forming a perfect square, and this layer will act as a guide to make sure everything stays perfectly aligned when we start shifting things around. Now select both of those layers and duplicate them. Move the original pair down the canvas until they snap to the exact center point, and then move the duplicated pair up until they snap to the same center. If the two black layers overlap, that means things aren't perfectly centered yet, so nudge them until they line up cleanly. If there's no overlap, you can delete the black layers and move on to the next step. You'll see some new empty spots from the offset. That's normal, you just gotta fill them in. I'm gonna drop in a cowboy boot to fill in that gap. Just make sure nothing touches the canvas edge. Keep it all safely inside the tile. Once you're happy, duplicate your new elements and merge them together. This step is basically the same process we just did in step 4, only this time we're moving everything side to side instead of up and down. Start by adding those black layer guides back in. Now duplicate your merged elements and your black layers. Select and move the original pair to the right until they snap perfectly to the center of the canvas. And then move the duplicates to the left until they snap to that same midpoint. Just like before, check your black layers. If there's any overlap, things aren't perfectly centered yet, so adjust it until they line up cleanly. Just like before, after shifting things horizontally, you'll see some fresh blank spots show up around your design. But that's okay, that's what we want. It's time to fill them back in. Add a few more supporting elements to balance out the composition, but keep everything safely tucked inside the tile. The gaps usually get smaller at this point, so sometimes I'll add tiny elements like dots or stars, just to fill up the space. Once you're satisfied with how it looks, duplicate your new additions and merge them together. This locks everything in place before we move on to the next step. Alright, here's the moment of truth. Duplicate your finished tile 4 times, and scale each one down to 1/4 of the size, and arrange them like this. Now, zoom out. If everything flows smoothly and it looks clean, you just birthed the perfect seamless pattern. Now for the secret sauce, adding paper textures, ink bleed, and print defects. Word to the wise, this is truly a final step. If you want to expand your patterns with more tiles, the paper textures and defects won't align. First, I drop in a texture from Paperboy, one of my favorite texture packs from RetroSupply. Today I'm running with the aged cover stock. Next, I'll go in with a couple of print defect brushes from RetroSupply's Edge and Fold pack to roughen it up and give it some character. Once all that grit is layered in, the whole thing just hits different. The art stops feeling like a flat digital file and starts feeling real. That's the power of texture, man. It turns pixels into history. Alright, quick pit stop before the time lapse. If you're into this kind of retro art, hit subscribe. We drop new tutorials, brush demos, and general art chaos every week. And hey, if you want the exact brushes and textures I'm using, they're all waiting for you at RetroSupply Co. Let's roll the time lapse. And that's the blueprint. Seamless patterns are stupidly fun to make and seriously useful, from packaging to backgrounds to merch and ads. And once you start, you'll be patterning everything that's not nailed down. If you use this method to create something, send it over. Tag us on Instagram, TikTok, tape it to a brick and throw it through a window. We gotta see the chaos. And if this was helpful, smash that like button. And if it wasn't, hit like anyway, it's free. Subscribe, because next week could be anatomy or me having a breakdown over font choices. Either way, you won't want to miss it. Finally, if you want the exact textures and brushes I used in this video, go raid RetroSupply Co. It pays the bills and lets us keep teaching you the things the public school system couldn't. Now go, my friends. Go make some crazy patterns for your mom to hang up on the fridge. Happy creating.